What is going on, guys? It's Noah here with Custom RC Mods. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back down here to the workshop. Now in today's episode, I've got the long-awaited fleet update for the month of July. And you guys are probably thinking, Noah, you're so late. This is the first week of August. Like, what are you thinking? And yeah, I've been out of town. I've been busy. That's why there has been a lot less videos coming out of this channel. However, I am picking it up. I've got a few weeks before I go off to college. So I'm going to try to get as much content out to you guys as I can. So if you guys have any requests, first and foremost, please go ahead and mention those down in the comment section below. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and like this video if you are really enjoying this content. So yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the topic of today's video, which, like I said, is the fleet update for this month. And if you guys don't know what they are, basically I go through each aircraft, talk a little bit about what I've been doing with it for the past month. Things obviously happen off camera, flying, repairs, crashes, and things happen on camera that I just want to give you a summary about. So we're going to go ahead and get right into it as we usually do. Going from the left all the way over to the right. Things are a little bit out of order. We've been moving the shop around to accommodate a new, tool bench right there. So yeah, let's just go ahead and get right into it. We do have quite a few new planes. They're mostly just rebuilds of other planes that have been really beat up. You'll see what I mean here as we get into it right now. So first things first, the plane stack is not anymore on this cabinet. It's no longer there. It's actually up here on top of this big cabinet. So we've got the Goblin, still been flying it, flies great. We've got the Baron. This thing is flying really, really nicely. And I just had that broken prop. Now it's completely replaced and ready to go. And then right here we have our first rebuilt plane, which is the Bloody Wonder. Now, if you guys don't know, the Bloody Wonder is my ultimate basher plane. This is the one that I don't really care if I crash because it's super resilient, very durable, my go-to combat airplane. However, this one right here has seen a lot of crashes, and this motor has definitely taken some abuse. The bearings are pretty much shot in it, and it's just a small motor in general. For a combat plane trying to tow streamers, it is not a very good option. I'm easily at 3/4 throttle just to keep that plane in the air, so it's not very ideal in that sense. However, I do like how it flies, so we're probably going to go ahead and upgrade the motor here very shortly. But yeah, that's everything for the Bloody Wonder. So yeah, the Walmart Wing I've flown a few times. It's very resilient to crashes just because it's not foam board, it's styrofoam. It's a lot easier to glue back together and get back up in the air, but haven't really crashed it that much, and it has flown really, really well. So again, not much to say about that. Now, the next two planes you're going to see are right above me. And this one, first thing, of course, on top is the FT Simple Soarer. I have still not flown that ever. I got really, really close to taking out the high start when I was going to meet up with my friend Alexander. However, I just never really got around to it. It hasn't even been bound up to my new radio yet. That's kind of how far behind I am with that thing. We're going to get to it hopefully here very, very soon. But yeah, you guys are probably very distracted by this plane right here, which is my new FT Explorer. Unfortunately, the wings folded on my last one, crashed in the ground, completely totaled the airframe, so we had to go ahead and rebuild that. Now, this one has seen a few crashes already. Unfortunately, they have been all related to this motor mount right here. The vibrations have rattled the screws loose. So I went ahead and remounted it, went ahead and used a lot of Loctite on my motor screws, as well as took the initiative, of course, in balancing out my prop more properly. And so we're good to go in that sense. The nice thing about this Explorer is that it does have a carbon fiber spar in the form of an arrow shaft. So this thing is a really solid performer, and I really do like how it flies. It's definitely a little bit of a different flying experience because it has zero dihedral in it, because, of course, carbon fiber, you really can't bend that. But anyways, really liking how that's flying right now, and it just sits up there right under the FT Simple Soarer. So yeah, now the next one you guys know that we're missing here is the FT Mustang. And unfortunately, I had a pretty bad midair with my friend Alexander's Mustang. We were both flying them, and he was doing some crazy maneuvers. I was just cruising around straight, prop on prop, kind of just, it was a terrible crash. Out of control, spiraling down. Both Mustangs are pretty much totaled. You can see mine's in the trash right here. But as you guys know, the Mustang is one of my favorite planes, so I'm going to go ahead and get that rebuilt as soon as possible. And it should be a really good option in that sense because, like I said, it is a really smooth airplane. And being able to rebuild that and get a second shot to do even better with it on my build is going to be really awesome. So yeah, I did go ahead and rebuild my Mini Mustang as well. Haven't really crashed this thing at all. It does have a few wrinkles just from the build. However, the nice thing about this is that, of course, we have a completely clean aircraft. If you guys don't know my Mini Mustang story, I went ahead and crashed that thing like a bunch of times trying to find the CG on it, and I finally found it, but it was a super beat up airplane. So I finally just had one too many crashes, had to go ahead and rebuild it, but we're good to go other than that. Before I forget, we've got the Russell here. I really haven't driven it that much. It still needs some shock caps, especially on the rear. They keep flying off in every chance that they have. So it's kind of frustrating, but I guess it's just kind of how it goes. You got to get some aluminum ones, and we should be good to go. I only run that thing on 3S nowadays, so it's kind of irresponsible. And parts are just gonna break, and that's how it is. But anyway, let's go ahead and move on over here to the FT Aero. Again, flying great as usual. Not much to say about it. It's definitely one of my best looking airframes, especially for how old it is. So I really can't complain. And altogether, I'm just really, really happy with it. And how it continues to perform. Have not crashed it yet, and I do not plan to. So yeah, I gotta be careful with that one. But yeah, moving over here to the Bushwhacker. I did have a pretty nasty little crash, just a little stall spin action, kind of crashed with it. Tore up the front end a little bit. You can see we put some tape over the kind of hood section of the airplane there, and some popsicle sticks on for reinforcement, and we're good to go. It's not really that big of a deal altogether. It still does hold together very nicely. And I also went ahead and replaced the prop. I think that 9x47 slow fly is the best option for this. My ESC just overheats and cuts all the power, and it's super frustrating. So we're still trying to find out the best prop combination for this thing, but the motor's always super warm. It's probably just because it's a huge draggy airframe that just keeps happening. So unfortunate, but it's pretty unavoidable. I do have to tear this thing all apart if I want to go ahead and get that power pod out to go ahead and switch it. So I'm really not looking forward to that, if you guys know what I mean. So yeah, not really too much to update here with the micros. You can see we've got the Hobby Zone Sport Cub S still in really bad shape. And then we've got the Hobby Zone Champ, which is still flyable, however, it could really use a new prop. And honestly, both of these could just use a whole new airframe altogether. But, those are actually pretty expensive for what they are. So I'm trying to make the most use out of these as I possibly can. And they're definitely, living up to that. My backyard definitely destroys the microplanes, because, obviously I don't hold back when I fly. They're pretty durable overall, but again, definitely have a limited lifespan on those airframes there. Now the Nano Goblin, flying really well. We're actually rocking Crossfire in here. As you can see with those two holes in the antennas, that's an Immortal T in there. And it's flying really, really, really nicely. I've gotten some seriously crazy range. Probably gotten about 2 miles out. And obviously in an open, no RF signal, just like field area. It was a really great time that I've had flying this all together. And I really enjoy it. So I'm definitely going to have to think about bringing that one with me to college, just because it's just such a fun airplane altogether. So yeah, now onto the Custom RC Mods quad department, which you can see is definitely expanded since the last fleet update. We now have 5 5-inch quads and 6 micros. We've got one more down here, this tiny whip that I'm still working on getting flying. Brushed Betaflight is a little bit interesting, but we'll get into that in a second. So first things first, we've got the Space One Meteor, and I thought that I was going to sell this thing for the longest time. I really did. I actually put an ad up on eBay and RC groups trying to get someone to buy it from me, and it's only like $100. I thought it was a pretty good deal. However, there was no one biting, so I kind of reconsidered it, got it flying again, and I actually really like how it flies. It's a super nice floaty build. We're running the Jumpfan 51477 props on there. That's really, really nice Hurricane racing props from Jumpfan. So it's very, very smooth altogether. I went ahead and did a little bit of a touch-up on my components. We've got a F7 flight controller in there with an 800 milliwatt VTX. So basically the one thing that was really holding that back was the VTX. So it was only 200 milliwatts altogether, and then the antenna was bad, and my flight controller was very outdated. So again, upgraded all those things, so now we have a really good quad build, and it's going to be a very, very fun one to fly there, and I'll have to make a video about that very soon. So yeah. Moving on over here to the Multi-Rotor Mania Reaper. This one is a good quad build as well. Obviously very powerful. I went ahead and upgraded my camera over to a Foxeer cam. which is obviously doesn't really match the color scheme. However, the obviously the specs on the camera are more important to me than the colors, of course. So I went ahead and installed that there, and it's performing really, really well. I also upgraded my antenna to the Foxeer Pagoda Pro, and yeah, looking really good. It's kind of jerry mounted on there, the antenna, but I mean, I guess it's just fine because it keeps the antenna kind of out of the props, and also keeps it more durable. Originally, the antenna would stick out of the top, but as you can see, the carbon fiber mount just kind of snapped on the top plate there. So yeah, that's not good. Anyway, on to the Armaton Chameleon here. You can see this one is definitely not in the best shape right now. We are waiting on another flight controller. But got one from Buddy RC, but I had a little bit of an issue with it. So unfortunately, I had to send it back, and I hopefully will be getting a replacement here very soon and getting this thing up in the air. Again, this one had a very primitive F4 flight controller here. Actually, has still the PWM outputs, which are like the servo outputs. So unfortunately, that's just not really well matched for the high performance racing quad kind of feel I wanted to get out of it. So I went ahead and upgraded the flight controller there. But at this point, again, we don't have that. So we're just going to be playing the waiting game until we can get that flight controller in stock. But then we'll be good to go. So yeah, then of course, over here we have the Schizo Nova, my go-to top mount 5-inch quad. This thing has flown really great. And it's taken a lot of abuse. I had some pretty hard crashes with it. Lost the GoPro in a field of very tall grass for a few days in rain. But the GoPro still works. Went ahead and upgraded my camera in here to the Runcam Phoenix 2. A very, very worthy upgrade for this thing. It just flies really, really well with it. And the colors and contrast, the dynamic range is really good. Definitely an improvement over the old Mini Swift. But other than that, not much to say. Went ahead and upgraded my VTX to a Mach 3. Then put the VTX from that into the Space One over there. So we've kind of been playing a little bit of shuffling the components around, but you know, it's been working really, really well. Now this build right here is the Dubai. Basically, it's a low budget quad build. It still has some really good components in it. I want to kind of show you around it real quick. It is running the Emax motors and a few other things. I do have a full video coming out here with it, but it does have Crossfire 600 milliwatt VTX. It has the old camera off the Reaper in there. But I mean, altogether, a very nice budget build. I actually put this one together just so that if I have a beginner that wants to learn how to fly, I don't have to teach them how to fly on my Reaper or on my Space One or any of those quads that I actually care about. If I crash this one and break it into a million pieces, first off, it won't be that expensive to replace, and second off, it's not going to be, you know, obviously anything crazy because it's not as heavy and it's not as fast. So it's going to be a little bit easier to learn on as well. So yeah, now on to the micros right here. As you can see, I mean, obviously we have a wide selection here. There are 5 of them, actually 6 of them, including that tiny whoop. I'm getting rid of this one right here. This one's a Beta 75X. I'm going to be selling it off to my cousin so we can race Beta 75s together. And yeah, I just got this Beta 75X Pro 2 right here on RC Groups, an absolute steal. This thing's flying great. I do have FR Sky receivers coming for all 3 of these brushless quads. I have like DSMX in all 3 right now, and it's just not the best. I believe the Torrent right here is just not. The antennas are cut. You can see the dipole antennas. The top has been cut off of them, so it doesn't fly that good at all. But yeah, I guess that's really just what you get at this point. So I've got some XM Pluses coming for all 3 of the brushless builds. And then I also have a little Minim OSD from Ready to Fly Quads coming for the Blade Torrent 110. And I picked this one up also off RC Groups. This one is an absolute ripper. I went ahead and obviously took the ducts off. You can see they're right here. I cut them off, and I'm really happy I did that. And I went ahead and put the same props that are on the Gremlin on here. Should be good to go. It's a very, very fast and smooth setup. And then the Gremlin is fully functional yet again. However, I still need to go ahead and work out some kinks that I'm having with it in the tuning aspect of it. The PIDs are kind of all messed up, and it's just not a good time. I feel like I'm having a little motor output limit issue. I don't know, the throttle's just really not there. So if you guys have any experience with Betaflight and wonder why my motors aren't spooling up all the way, that'd be really good to know, because obviously I have no clue what I'm doing, really when it comes to the more nitty-gritty in Betaflight. Now this little tiny whoop is flying good as well. You know, not much to say about that. But you can see this one right here is the new one I picked up. This one on RC Groups. yet again for a very, very fair price. It has the Furious FPV Acro Whoop board in it. It has an FR Sky receiver, and you know, obviously I think it should be flying good. However, there's something wrong with it in the binding kind of area and the connection to Betaflight. So still working on getting that all worked out, but overall should be in pretty good condition once we get it flying, and it has some pretty nice specs on the motors and other performance related things. So you know, really excited for that. So yeah, that was all a mouthful, unfortunately. You know, obviously this is gonna be a long video with all these aircraft here, but thankfully we got through that and we are good to go in that sense. So yeah, let's go ahead and move back over to some more planes. So right here, as you can see, this is the FT Vector. I went ahead and put some more tape on it just for more visibility. It's kind of hard to see, especially when you're flying out far away. I don't know, I just found that I need to go ahead and rebuild my nose still. But other than that, this thing's flying great. Moving on to the Scout, this thing is about to be rebuilt. As you can see right here, it does have a pretty loose, you know, broken wing. And I did have a pretty bad crash with it. It wasn't really anything major. I just kind of got into a pickle, tough area to pull out of an inverted pass. And unfortunately, it kind of ate into the ground. So, you know, really unfortunate, but that's just kind of how it goes. And I obviously could repair it very easily. However, I chose not to just because I need to go ahead and replace the servos in these wings. The aileron servos, as you guys know, are very twitchy, and that's, you know, just really not the best for this thing, especially when I want a smooth flying FT Scout build. And I also have the FT Mini Scout right here, which has been freshly rebuilt as well. And this thing is a really, really nice airplane. Unfortunately, I folded the dihedral obviously increased, and I ended up folding the wings on my last build. And yeah, that was super, super not good. You know, obviously I can't fly with the wings folded like that. Have not made this thing yet, so I need to go out there and do that. But other than that, I mean, really a nice plane, and it should be a good flyer out here. In obviously in those calm evenings when I want to get something nice and smooth to fly like the Mini Scout. So yeah, moving on to my last few airplanes here. We've got the FT Viggen right here. Again, have not flown it at all. It's just been sitting up here looking very nice on the wall. The mounting situation is kind of getting you know, caved in on because of this new electrical box. So we're gonna have to work on that. But I still think I'm going to keep this around just a little bit longer until I get a nice time to build an EDF, which is probably going to be sometime, you know, this winter or something like that when I have nothing else to do. So yeah, Viggen is looking pretty good just as it is. Then right here we have the FC-22. Have not flown this at all. It does have a few issues. I went ahead and repaired the glue on the hinges for the ailerons, so hopefully it'll fly a little bit better. But we don't know yet, so fingers crossed that this thing is still going to be in good shape, but that upgraded motor system is really doing this thing a lot of good in the flying department. So yeah, finally moving on to the FT Versawing right here. This thing is flying really well. Still haven't gotten the LED lights functional in it yet, just because, of course, I still need to get a BEC. But other than that, I mean, seriously, not too bad. For what it is. I have a few 5-volt BECs on the way. I just obviously don't want to stress out the one in the ESC right now. So yeah, really not too much to say about that. As well as, finally we got a Mini Recruit. Don't know how to do this thing still. You guys know the story. It doesn't fly at all. Keeps crashing. Tail heavy, nose heavy. It needs a flight stabilization board to fly well, and that I do not have. So unfortunately, yeah, that's about it for the Mini Recruit and for this fleet in general. So yeah, that was a very long video, guys. That was probably the longest fleet update easily that I've ever done. So thanks for bearing with me. Hopefully you were able to utilize the timestamps and get to where you wanted to go and not have to sit through all my boring conversation I'm making about all these aircraft behind me. Stay tuned for more videos coming here probably every single day over the next few weeks. And I'm really excited to bring that content out to you. Make sure to go ahead and request something if you want to see something in particular down below. So yeah, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.